Okay, so let's dig into this core dilemma, right? It really shapes so much for us professionally, personally.
Mhm.
It's this powerful choice, often one we don't even fully see, between, what feels safe right now and what actually builds us up, makes us stronger down the line. This whole deep dive is really about that courage, choosing hard over comfortable.
It's such a subtle thing, isn't it? Almost corrosive. The original essay really drives this home with that story of Jake, the senior manager.
Right, the 8-year guy.
Yeah. 8 years, good money, good reviews. Everything looked fine on paper. But when he left, it wasn't relief he felt. It was, well, regret.
Hmm.
His big realization, the painful part, was that he hadn't just stayed put. He'd stopped growing, started coasting. He felt like he'd wasted years because the job just became, in his words, a place I went, not something I became better at.
Oof, a place I went, not something I became better at. That's
Yeah,
quite a distinction.
it really is. He chose that stability, that comfort, until it became stagnation.
And that distinction is probably the metric you need to be holding up against your own decisions, right? The original essay really stresses this isn't just about big, dramatic career moves.
No, not at all.
This dilemma, it shows up everywhere.
Huh.
Relationships we maybe stick with too long,
Yeah.
jobs that just drain us.
Yeah, opportunities we let slide because we're afraid of looking silly or, failing in public.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
that comfort zone isn't pushed, it just calcifies. It becomes stasis.
And what's really illuminating when you look at the successful people described in the source material, there's this pattern, a really distinct pattern.
Which is,
They consistently and strategically choose difficulty over just taking the easy route. They seem to get that growth needs friction.
Yep.
Competence doesn't just appear, right? You earn it by deliberately putting yourself in challenging situations. And here's the kicker. The biggest, most valuable opportunities, they often look like messy, difficult problems that nobody else really wants to deal with.
so they lean into the complexity.
They actively seek it out, while others are avoiding it.
But hang on, doesn't that just sound like, endorsing that whole hustle culture thing?
Yeah.
How does the original essay draw the line?
Mhm.
How do you tell the difference between, say, strategic difficulty that helps you grow and just toxic environments that burn you out?
That's a super important question. The difference really comes down to value extraction. What are you actually getting out of the struggle?
Okay.
High standards that push growth, they demand you level up. You have to genuinely learn, acquire new skills, build competence. Toxicity, though,
Mm,
it demands your energy, loads of it, but gives nothing useful back. No real learning, no skill development. It just depletes you.
right.
So the essay argues that, look, a few intense years in a high-demand, high-standard place, a pressure cooker environment that forces you to build real solid capabilities, that can be worth more than maybe a decade floating along in a comfy but unchallenged role.
So it's about maximizing learning and capability, not just maximizing stress hours.
Precisely. It's choosing the fire that forges the steel, not the one that just burns down the house.
That makes sense. And that strategic choice, it filters down, doesn't it, into the small things, the daily actions. Which brings us to that compound effect of discipline.
Exactly. This is where tiny, maybe slightly uncomfortable choices start building a really significant reputation over time. It's not just about being on time. The successful people detailed, they're often early.
Hmm.
They follow through consistently, not just when it's easy or convenient. And the why is crucial. That reliability, it compounds. It builds into your reputation. And that reputation, it opens doors that your qualifications on their own
They just,
just can't.
right. The credentials get you in the room, but the reputation keeps you there and gets you the next
You
opportunity.
got it. You're building trust with yourself and credibility with others, one small, disciplined act at a time. It's that consistency of choosing the slightly harder option, maybe the extra 5 minutes to review something, the proactive email update that really sets people apart.
Which really shines a light on that deep psychological trap the original essay talks about. We seem almost hardwired, don't we, to grab the immediate relief instead of thinking long term.
Totally. Anxiety, fear, even just being tired.
Hmm.
It pushes us towards the easy button.
Yeah.
Comfort gives you that instant but temporary sense of peace.
So you constantly have to be asking yourself, okay, is this genuine practical wisdom, like, I don't have the resources right now, or is it actually just fear, kind of whispering excuses in my ear?
Or gratitude versus resignation.
Right. Is this real gratitude for what I have, or am I just resigning myself to good enough because taking the next step feels too hard, too scary?
And if you let that anxiety run the show, you basically start digging a hole. Every time you pick the easy way out, you're reinforcing this mental pathway that says avoidance is the best strategy, even when it's costing you growth, opportunities.
Okay, but if growth requires all this deliberate friction, this choosing hard, how do you avoid just flaming out? How do you sustain it?
Yeah, that's absolutely vital. Which leads us to what the original essay calls the energy equation. Because choosing hard things 24/7, that's impossible. It's a recipe for burnout.
Right.
The equation basically says you have to be really, really selective about the struggles you take on.
So choose your battles wisely.
Exactly. The energy equation is built on this idea that your success is tied to aligning the challenges you do take on with your core values. The inputs, the difficulties you choose, they need to be things that actually move you towards who you genuinely want to become.
And the outputs.
Sustainable energy, and crucially, compounded capability, growth. If a particular difficulty is just draining you, teaching you nothing useful, not moving you towards your authentic self, the essay argues you have to be pretty ruthless about cutting it loose.
Which makes intentional energy management absolutely critical then, doesn't it? The essay has that line, your vibe affects everything.
It really does. If your internal state is consistently depleted, you signal that outwards. It affects the kind of opportunities that come your way, the quality of relationships you attract.
It's like putting out a low battery signal to the world.
Pretty much. So intentionally protecting and cultivating your energy means, well, setting boundaries. Real boundaries around your headspace, your time.
Right.
It means maybe limiting exposure to people or situations that just consistently suck the life out of you without giving anything valuable back. It's like doing a cost-benefit analysis on your emotional bandwidth.
You're not trying to avoid all friction, just the friction that doesn't actually polish you, just wears you down.
Exactly. You're avoiding the pointless friction.
And a huge part of balancing this energy equation seems to be authenticity. The essay makes this really interesting point about performance.
Yeah.
About how much energy we waste performing.
Oh, absolutely. So many people spend so much energy crafting and maintaining this version of themselves they think others want to see, or that meets some external expectation.
Yeah, the work persona, or the trying to impresses persona.
Right. But the essay argues that when you finally stop chasing that external validation, when you dare to just show up as you actually are, flaws, quirks, the whole package,
That takes courage in itself.
it does. But it creates this confidence that's durable because it's coming from the inside. It's not dependent on whether people clap or not.
And the payoff.
Well, the surprising result, according to the essay, is pretty powerful. When you're genuinely okay with who you are, others tend to feel more comfortable around you. There's a sense of trust.
Huh. So authenticity isn't just navel-gazing, it actually opens doors.
It seems to. People trust genuine competence and that quiet, internal confidence more than some slick, carefully constructed presentation. Sure, dropping the mask might initially disappoint a few people who like the performance.
Yeah, the ones who benefited from the performance.
Maybe, but the reward is attracting opportunities and people who actually value the real you.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly to the thinking pattern itself, the mindset. The essay talks about a fundamental shift in how thriving people interpret challenges.
Yeah, this is absolutely core. They consistently see challenge as information, not as a threat.
Information, not threat. Okay, unpack that.
So you know that feeling when you're stretched way beyond what you think you can handle, that sinking feeling of, oh man, I am out of my depth here.
Uh-huh. Know it well.
Okay, you've got two ways to frame that. The threat mindset immediately goes to, I feel overwhelmed, therefore I'm not good enough, or I don't belong here, or I'm going to fail.
Right, the inadequacy narrative kicks in.
Exactly. But the growth mindset, it flips the script. It says, okay, I feel stretched. This feeling is evidence that I'm actually growing. This difficulty is giving me valuable information about where I need to improve, what skills I need to build.
So the feeling of inadequacy itself becomes a signpost for progress.
Precisely. It reframes the discomfort as productive as necessary.
And that reframing, that must completely change how you approach your career, right?
Fundamentally, instead of obsessing over titles or getting bogged down in office politics or just waiting for someone to give you permission, the focus shifts entirely. It becomes about building real, valuable capabilities.
Skills that matter.
Skills that matter. There's this underlying belief that if you become genuinely excellent at something the world actually needs, the market, the opportunities, they'll find ways to reward you, often more reliably than just networking or playing the game.
That feels more empowering somehow. Less about external maneuvering, more about internal building.
It is. And it leads directly to a much more proactive approach to learning. These individuals, they don't just wait for the company training day or the assigned mentor.
They don't wait to be developed.
No, the original essay makes it clear. They create their own growth experiences. They actively volunteer for the projects that, as the essay puts it, scare them slightly.
Huh. Scare them slightly. I like that.
It forces them into new territory where failure is a real possibility, but so is massive learning.
And feedback. They must approach that differently, too.
Totally differently. They're not looking for pats on the back. They're not seeking validation that says, you're already great.
They want the tough stuff.
They want the critical input, the stuff that helps them actually improve, even if it stings a bit. They'd rather have useful critique than comfortable, superficial praise.
And mentors.
They look for mentors, sure, but not just wise sages to listen to. They look for people who share their hunger to implement. They take advice and immediately look for ways to put it into action. It's not passive absorption. It's a prompt for doing something different.
Let's circle back to that compound effect for a second, maybe with some clear examples. That consistency piece feels so crucial.
It really is. Think about the track record you build, day by day. The person who shows up early consistently for a whole year, they build a profoundly different reputation than someone who's, hit or miss with punctuality.
Night and day difference in perception.
Absolutely. And that consistent track record, it does two things. It builds self-trust. You prove to yourself you can follow through, and it proves to others you can handle bigger things because you've clearly mastered the small, disciplined things. Responsibility flows towards reliability.
But there's that flip side you mentioned earlier,
Okay.
the reverse compound effect. That sounds kind of insidious.
It is because it's often invisible while it's happening. It's the slow slide into stagnation.
How does it work?
Every single time you choose comfort over a growth opportunity, even a small one, it gets just a tiny bit easier to make that same choice next time. You rationalize it.
You train yourself to settle.
Exactly. Settling for good enough becomes your default setting. It trains your internal system to expect less and ultimately to deliver less and constantly dodging difficulty. It slowly erodes your confidence. You start believing you can't handle challenges.
So you become risk-averse by habit, not necessarily by conscious choice.
Precisely. It sneaks up on you.
Which brings us right to that really deep psychological challenge the original essay points out. Just having the courage to actually want more.
Mm-hmm. It's a big one. We often hear ambition framed negatively, right? Like it's greedy.
Yeah.
Or having high standards means you're ungrateful for what you already have.
Yeah, there's definitely that cultural narrative sometimes.
But the source material flips that. It suggests that often what looks like humility or gratitude settling is actually just fear in disguise. It's running away from the hard work required to go after something you genuinely, authentically desire.
So the real courage isn't just facing the external challenge, it's facing your own desire.
Yeah,
Believing you deserve better than just good enough.
that's a huge part of it. It's about treating your authentic desires, those things you feel pulled towards, even if they look difficult or risky, as legitimate, necessary data points in your decision-making.
Not just dismissing them as impractical dreams.
Right. You have to stop automatically rationalizing your fear and calling it being realistic or practical.
How do you do that? How do you cut through the noise?
Well, the original essay offers this brilliant, really actionable decision filter. When you're at a crossroads, facing that choice between the comfortable path and the challenging one, ask yourself this.
Right.
If I choose this path, will I become more myself or less myself? Will this choice expand my capabilities, my potential, or will it constrain them?
Wow. More myself or less myself?
Yeah.
Expand or constrain?
Yeah. That filter cuts through a lot of the rationalizations pretty quickly. It clarifies whether you're leaning towards growth or opting for retreat.
So wrapping this all together, the path forward isn't about some massive heroic leap necessarily. It's more about developing this practice of reaching.
Exactly. Cultivating the habit of reaching just slightly beyond your current comfort zone,
Yeah.
doing it in small, manageable, sustainable ways, building your tolerance for that productive discomfort, that uncertainty where growth happens.
And constantly auditing your own thinking. Noticing when fear tries to put on a wisdom costume.
Mm-hmm. That vigilance is key. Is this really prudence or is it avoidance?
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening, drawing on this idea of discipline from the essay.
Okay, how about this? Take a moment right now or later today and really identify one commitment. Maybe it's a big one, maybe small, maybe something only you know about. Learning a skill, starting a project, setting a difficult boundary. Identify something you've been putting off, avoiding, specifically because it feels hard or uncomfortable right now.
Okay. Got one in mind.
Now ask yourself, really honestly, what will be the actual cost, emotionally, professionally, personally, of continuing to avoid this thing 1 year from today?
Yeah.
Let the clarity of that potential future regret fuel your courage to choose the harder, better path today.